Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!
Hit the brakes!
Cut! So hello everyone, this is Boston Chris with a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS podcast. Man, this week we are super excited to have a what I call a blues legend, blues music legend. He's been in the business for over 50 years, starting when he was 16 years old, I believe in 1964. He was discovered by Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Freddy King, and he's been in the Dallas area, Dallas, Texas area, pretty much all of his life. And we're super excited and very honored and privileged to introduce to everybody out there Mr. Andrew Junior Boy Jones. Junior Boy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Chris?
We're doing excellent. I want to reiterate how excited we are. We appreciate so much you talking to us today. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And I guess we'll start with your early years. I guess your mother was a big band singer. And as a child, you were mentored by Adolphus Sneed. So tell us what were some of your experiences growing up with such huge musical influences at your fingertips?
Well, my mom, by the time I was born, she retired, but still all the guys that come around that actually, I thought they were my real uncles, but they were her bandmates, and they were all musicians. So, I kind of just had a house full of music, not exactly them playing, but, my mom had all kinds of records and blues and Ella Fitzgerald and, some of the greats. And I've heard them ever since I was a kid.
So she had retired before you were born?
Yeah, well, actually, me being born made her retire from singing. She was also a seamstress. After I was born, she started sewing, and she worked for one of the top, I guess, artists of Dallas, and they make clothes for Neiman.
Wow. So I guess maybe when you were born, maybe you got all of her mojo.
Yeah.
I told you before we started recording about how impressed I was with a performance I saw of yours recently in the city of Longview, Texas at the T-Bone Walker Blues Fest. And I got to tell folks out there, if you have not heard of Junior Boy Jones, man, his style in blues will make you feel every single note. I mean, if you haven't heard him, you need to. So I know
I thank you for saying that. I'm probably butting in, but that's one of the greatest compliments anybody could ever give me, that they felt what I was playing.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a huge blues fan. I'm just now trying to educate myself a little bit more on it, which is another reason why I wanted to talk to you. I was hoping to be educated today, and I'm sure I will be. But for me, genres don't really matter to me. If I feel the song, if I feel the note, then I'm immediately impressed, and that's what grew me to you for sure.
Well, thank you.
So I know that you, I guess I've read a little bit about you. Actually, I read a lot about you, but I guess you were discovered by the great Freddy King, and he kind of took you under his wing when you were just a kid. So, I mean, I'm sure people would love to hear that story. Well,
actually, I was practicing my guitar in my mom's living room, and we had a neighbor that knew the band, and in the band, which they were backing Freddy King as well as other artists, but they were his main backing band. And the guy asked my mom, could he take me over there? They needed a guitar player, and she gave permission to take me over there. And I started rehearsing with the band, and then Freddy walked in, and that was when I first met him. Because I was a fan of his, because I heard Hideaway when I was maybe about 14 years old, and I just loved guitar music because I picked it up when I was 7. And he walked in, and they introduced me as junior boy to Freddy, and Freddy said, "You mean little boy, don't you?" So, so that was the beginning, and of course, I was after I saw him pick my guitar up and play it, I was really impressed.
Right. I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest guitar players probably in the history of modern music, I would say, Mr. Freddie King. So,
right.
I mean, for him to take a notice to you as a young guitar player, that must have meant a lot to you.
Well, it did, and I think as I've gotten older and realized some of the things that he did for me, and the drummer at the time was Charles Sugarboy Myers, and he was the one actually played on Going Down, that album with Leon Russell. He told me Freddie really liked me, and I kind of put two and two together because a lot of people that I met through him, B.B. King and Albert King, and some of the old blues greats I met through Freddie.
Right. So I know that Freddie wasn't the only I guess you'd call well-known musician or artist that you backed or collaborated with. Names like Freddie King, Johnny Taylor, the harmonica great Charlie Musselwhite. So
right.
I'm sure you must have some amazing stories from the road. You want to share some of those with us?
Well, yeah, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but there's a few.
That's a loaded question, isn't it, Junior Boy?
Oh yeah, it sure is. Yeah, we had a lot. I had a lot of fun. It was quite a few experiences that it was sort of like me I'm there, but I'm looking in on my own life, and that thing about Freddie playing poker, that was really true. Grand Funk Railroad put it in their record, American Band. About Up All Night with Freddie King. I Want to Tell You Poker's his thing, and that was really true.
So, well, tell us that story. That sounds like a good one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was. I can remember in Mother Blues. He used to. After the gig, they would have poker games upstairs, and they would be all night. And even on the road, I mean, he was adamant about winning, and actually the game was never over with until he won. So, so you couldn't get up and leave with his money.
So it was completely rigged.
So if you retired that night, you just had to throw the hand, and so you could go to bed.
Yeah, he was a staunch poker player, and I learned a lot from him, especially stage presence. And he had unbelievable stage presence, playing as well as singing. And it took me later in life to really appreciate his vocals, because he was powerful on both ends of it, singing and playing.
Right. And I know, I guess it was 2012 that Freddie was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I guess, in my opinion, is probably one of the hardest Hall of Fames in the world to be inducted into, and especially as a blues player. I would imagine there's too many blues players in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I imagine, Muddy Waters and some of the older Chicago guys would be in there also. But Freddie had quite a few idols. You speak of Eric Clapton. He was a real fan of Freddie King's, and he had a lot to do with getting him in there too, also. So, I guess you just never know who your fans are.
Right. Right. And so 1964 is when you met Freddie King, and like I said, he kind of took you under his wing. You were 16 years old at the time. How did that go, trying to become a musician in a well-known band with the Thunderbirds? How did your schooling go? How did you balance that part of your life with the music?
Okay, but that, I could only play on the weekends at that time because I was still in school. And, it was eye-opening experience because I got a chance to see firsthand what it was like. And back in those days, seemed like music was just so prevalent as far as being. You could really make a living being a musician because there was more places to play, and I knew some people that were playing like almost 24 hours a day.
Right.
You know, because people played in the mornings. They had engagements in the mornings and afternoons and night. And during the late '60s, I had a gig at Alabama Club playing for the Dallas Cowboys, Don Meredith, and a lot of people, and a lot of entertainers, and who would come and see us. And so met Bill Cosby there one time. Wow. And you know, you start at 8 o'clock and maybe finish at 5 the next morning. So it was just a lot of exposure, and it was really eye opening.
It sounds like your mom was real. Maybe strict's not the word, but adamant that you that you still had your childhood and continued your schooling and things like that. Yeah,
she was. She, you know, she was strict. She made Freddy promise when he took me out one time that to make sure that she shook her finger in his face and made sure that you take care of my son. And he said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." So
that's great.
And he was a huge guy. You know, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
She wasn't scared of him, though, was she?
Oh no. She knew the ropes.
Yeah.
So throughout the '60s, you were playing with Freddie King, and then moved over with Bobby Patterson and the Mustangs.
Right, that was another great experience. That was the first time signing a contract with a record company, and we were more R&B, and I got a chance to be produced by Dale Hawkins, who had the Susie Q, wrote Susie Q. So, you know, it was like I don't want to say out-of-body experience, but, you know, I was there, but it just don't seem like this is really happening.
Just really surreal to you, right?
Yeah, that's the word.
So moving on to the early '70s, you know, you've backed several musicians. You've been in a lot of different bands at this point. You're, you know, in your, I guess, your early 20s at this point, and now you've met Cornell Dupree, and you're going to be tutored by him. So how did that come about, that relationship, and what kind of role did he have in fine tuning your musicianship?
Well, I went to see him play. He was playing with Ray Sharp, Lindy Lou fame, and I would go watch him, and I noticed how his style would fill the whole band up. It was a 3-piece band actually, but he made the band sound bigger than what it really was, and that sort of inspired me to try to go in that direction also. But Cornell used to come and sit in with us, and he played, you know, sit in on my guitar, and I got a chance to see him up close. But I didn't, you know, we weren't real close friends or anything where he would tutor me, but it was exposure to being close to him and watch how he did it. So that was my experience with Cornell. And after that, you know, that little span, Freddie saw me playing, you know, in the clubs again, and by that time he had signed with Shelter Records and with Leon Russell, and he asked me to go back out with him again, and he said it was much bigger. It was a much bigger situation, and
that's
true enough it was.
That's when you started touring internationally, right?
Yeah, we were touring internationally as well as we were doing the rock circuit. You know, we were doing stuff with Tower Power, Rare Earth,
awesome.
Deep Purple, Black Oak, Arkansas, and I'm missing quite a few.
Rare Earth, that's a group that people don't remember as much as they should. Those guys were amazing.
Oh, they were really amazing.
A bunch of white guys on Motown. Now that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, we toured with those guys a month, and with Tower Power and Rare Earth and Freddie King.
That would have been a great show.
Yeah, it was a wonderful tour. But I love the freedom that those guys had. It was discipline, but yet it was freedom because everybody played an intricate part for a small band. So it was really great.
So the blues music, how did that translate, in other countries and places that you were performing at internationally?
Well, it's just ironic. I mean, even to date, I've been all around the world. You can say, a lot of people can say cities and countries, but I can say continents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every one of them is because I play blues.
Wow.
So, and it's huge. It's huge around the world.
So it kind of transcends language. It's just the groove is kind of, everybody can feel it.
Right, exactly. And then they can also sympathize with the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, from China, I've been to Beijing 3 times, Australia, Japan, Poland.
Wow.
I've been in the Eastern Bloc right after the wall came down. It just transcends. And actually, I did more world touring with Musselwhite than I did with anybody.
Right. And I mean, he was. Did you played guitar with all of these folks too, or was there any vocals as well from your?
Well,
part?
I mostly guitar when I was doing the backing deal, and I co-wrote 2 songs with Musselwhite.
Okay.
And I was sort of like the band director for Musselwhite, and co-wrote. We did a lot of arranging with him, and that kind of really set the tone for what I wanted to do with my solo career.
So I know that you mentioned that you rejoined Freddie King. I guess that was around 73 or so.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, exactly.
And you were with him right up until the time that he unfortunately passed on at a very young age, I might add. I guess he was 42.
Yeah, shortly before I left, and it got really. I don't know what made me leave at the time, but it would seem like things were just going a little too fast, and it got a little uncomfortable. I felt, kind of strange in my gut. But I think six months later, he had passed.
And how were you affected by his loss, both personally and musically? Would you say?
No, at first, because he was like the last album I did the live album at the Armadillo World headquarters in Austin, and on that we had Dr. John and David Fat Ed Newman. It's a lot of big artists on that album, and the album was named Larger Than Life, and that's the way he seemed to me, because he's a large guy and he had a large personality.
Right. And the world lost a good one there, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I got a chance to see he and BB and Albert King play together on stage, and that was a huge treat for me.
That's a lot of talent on one stage.
Yeah, a lot of power, man.
That's like the Mount Rushmore of blues music right there.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, let's ask that question. Who would be your top 4 as far as blues musicians or artists? Your favorite 4 blues artists?
Wow, that would be hard to just say 4. Of course, I was influenced mostly by Freddy, and then Freddy. I don't know if I'm using the correct word, but if you're around a certain style and music, of course, whether you want to or not, it's like if you're in Britain, you would pick up that dialect.
Right.
So,
right.
And that's the same way it was. I mean, I don't play as harsh as Freddy, and I don't have as much power. I wouldn't say, but the essence of him is there because I play certain licks and then I go listen to some of the older stuff and wow, that's where I got that from. So
you don't even realize you've picked it up.
Yeah, it's just you've done it just by being in that environment.
Right.
But I'd have to say, Freddie, BB, Albert Collins, I got a chance to I wouldn't say we were close friends, but whenever we were on tour with him, he would invite me in his dressing room and we talked, and he did most of the talking. And and I used to tell him when we were on the show and he was playing, and he could whoop you to death with one note.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I used to hold up a match and say, "I'm gonna burn mine." And he told me, he said, "No." He said, "No, don't burn, no, boy, don't burn that." He said, "Everybody got something to say." And he had so much wisdom, and just kidding around. He had a lot of wisdom in what he was saying. So
right.
I got a lot from him too. Of course, Charlie. Charlie helped me understand that harmonica is really a real instrument. It's a technique to playing it, and he kind of told me certain things. When he's playing in the key of A, he's actually using a D harp, and it's called cross blowing. So, I just learned something from him, and we other artists, Junior Wells. We toured with Junior Wells, James Cotton, with the harmonica blowouts, and I just met a lot of interesting people. Katie Webster was one of the great artists that I played with. We were on her Swamp Boogie Queen album for Alligator. She sound check was a show. You can just sit down and just watch her play at sound check.
Yeah, she was a phenomenal piano player.
Oh yeah, man. She had left hand, and she would get into her own little world. She was really serious about her playing. It was nothing scripted for sound check there. She didn't follow that. She just did what she felt like playing, and sometimes you just have to sit back and just listen.
So I know in the mid to late 70s when I guess disco kind of took the forefront of everybody's minds around America and Britain as well, Europe as well, but there was also another genre that was starting to make itself known, and that was what they called Northern Soul. And I guess you had helped create a Northern Soul group called the Creators.
Yeah. Yeah, you taking me back, but yeah, we
you guys signed with RCA Records, right?
RCA, really, and I wrote a song called "Blame It on Me," and we just recently looked it up, and it's sort of like a collector's item. They were selling it online for one promo copy went for $126.
Wow!
Yeah. And from what I was reading, this song "Blame It on Me" is huge in the UK.
Yeah, UK and Spain too, and I never realized it because it wasn't since becoming of age. Back in the '80s, I got my own publishing company, so that's quite naturally that song is not in my publishing company, so I wouldn't know what was going on with it. But
now, was this your first introduction to actually writing music? And at this period in your life?
That was my first song. That of course I was writing when I was a kid. At 7 years old, playing my guitar. Which it wasn't probably good stuff, but I was trying to write then. But that was the first song arranged and that I wrote.
Yeah, that's really impressive to me. We're talking the late 70s here. You've been in music probably, 15 years at the time?
Actually, I wrote that song in 73.
Okay. So that's 10 years between the time that, you started with Freddy and 10 years before you write your first song. That's interesting to me.
Oh, Thanks. It's just been my life, and when you look back on it, I really did it. But then sometimes it seems like, wow, man, did I really do that?
Right. And so at this point, you've written your first song. Does that kind of give you that itch to keep writing?
Oh yeah. I'd say sometimes but sometimes I'd have a writer's block, depending on what the opportunity is, and I don't have a whole lot of songs, but when the occasion called for it, I was able to come up with very interesting stories.
Right. And so you guys signed with RCA Records. That would seem to me to be kind of a big deal. I mean, how'd that make you feel as far as, obviously you've had quite a career at this point already, almost 20 years at this point, and now you've signed with, I guess, one of the major labels here in the United States. So tell us what signing with them felt like.
Well, it felt great. It felt great to be with RCA. Of course, I probably didn't understand the full scope of RCA, but it was just great to be signed. But, everybody, when you're with a group, everybody's got to be on the same page and understand what it really is. And it was time to go to work.
Right.
We hadn't made it. It was just time to go to work. And I just felt like there should have been more work put in.
Right. So you kind of feel like maybe the ball was dropped a little bit with that collaboration, maybe.
Yeah, and that's just, trying to be nice about it. But, when you get an opportunity like that, it's time to really go to work and buckle down and get serious about what you're doing, and not feel like you made it. It's time to go play golf or lodge meeting or whatever. It's time to really buckle down.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, you signed the contract. Now it's time to prove that you earned it.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, some people can get disenfranchised and kind of think, hey, we've made it. We're with a major label now. Now we can kind of rest on our laurels. But no, that's not the way it works, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's really not.
So I know I'm kind of going chronologically with you. I mean, you've had an amazing career. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, over 50 years. I think 52 years as of this year, which is just amazing to me. I can't imagine, like I said, the stories and the people you've played with, the people you know. And I think it's really interesting, the different aspects of your career. And I'm really leaning towards what you're doing now. But we still have a few different steps in your timeline. I want to go next with the Silent Partners, which I guess was mid to late 80s, with a couple of guys that played with some other well-known folks. Bobby Bland's drummer, Tony Coleman, was with you, and B.B. King's bassist, Russell Jackson. So tell us a little bit about Silent Partners and how that collaboration came together.
Well, actually, I met Tony. We did a gig that this guy was really my friend that we played with, and that's Little Joe Blue. And Joe wanted us to play a gig with him in Oklahoma, and he got me on guitar, and he got Tony Coleman on drums, and he had Lucky Peterson on keyboards.
Okay.
And we went up there, but that's when I played with Tony. First time I ever played with Tony, but Tony actually was with Johnny Taylor before I got with him, and I never got a chance to play with him. So Tony remembered, and he sent word, and I just happened to be with Johnny on the road at the time, and he sent word that he would like for me to come to California and an opportunity, and he told me about Katie, and we would be playing with Katie Webster, and that her management would be our managers. So I decided to take the plunge and do that. So he remembered me from playing with him, with Joe Blue. So it ended up being Freddie King, one from Freddie King, and one from Bobby Bland, and one from B.B. King, and it was sort of like us being the silent partners behind the stars.
Right.
So that's what they had that.
That was kind of all three of you guys' role up until that point in your careers, right?
Exactly, and they had already had it started, but they had another B.B. King guitar player, Leonard Gill, who I think he decided to do something different, so they called me to come from Texas. So, and I got with those guys, and I just thought maybe I would be the lesser player on the West Coast, but for some reason it made me realize that people knew who I was before I even got there.
Right.
So it was pretty amazing to me that they knew all about me. So, yeah, and they were inspired. They were inspired by my style of play. So,
yeah, because Texas blues is definitely a little different than blues that's played anywhere else in the world, I think.
Yeah, they got a little more swing to their deal out there on the West Coast than I could see slight differences. Chicago and California, and I don't know why they like me so much in New York, but
they're hipsters over there, so
Yeah, it's the hipster.
It's cool to like Texas bluesers. It's hip.
Yeah, yeah. Up there in New York, you tell them you're from Texas, and they want your life story, like immediately.
Yeah,
they don't. Yeah. They think we're a different planet down here, I think.
Yeah,
and they might be right.
It could be.
So around this time, I know that from reading your background, you played with Johnny Taylor, R.L. Griffin, Hal Harris. Is that right?
Yeah, Hal was R.L.'s bass player during the time, and he was the brother to David Burns, which was Johnny Taylor's drummer. And so when we would go on the road with Johnny, Hal would hold the gig down with other players until we got back, and then we would just slide in and as if we'd never left. So,
I just reading your history and your career, it's just, it's a who's who of blues players. It's like a timeline. It's like you're talking Freddie King, Johnny Taylor, Charlie Musselwhite, Katie Webster, just so many huge names. And, we get into the mid-'90s now, and you're now you're going to try to go out there as a solo artist, right?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, it was the mid-'90s.
Tell us what it was like going from, being a backing player and trying to get a solo career off the ground under your own name.
Well, I thought it would be easier. Because with Musselwhite, we ended up being actually a hit because, Ace of Harps and In My Time, the Signature. And we were we won the best band of the year with the Handy Awards.
Right.
In 95, and I got an endorsement with Gibson. And they gave me an instrument, and
we have a fan question about that instrument that we'll ask you towards the end of the show.
Okay. But I when I went on my own, it seems as though that it was like starting all over again.
Right.
With Musselwhite, you were this, but you weren't this.
Right.
So you had to start all over. Even though I was nominated for Best New Artist of the Year in '98, I didn't win it, but
well, just being nominated is a huge accomplishment in its own right.
Well, I'm real appreciative of that, but I didn't win it, and of course, I went to the award show, and
those are held in Memphis, right?
Yeah, it was in Memphis, and I was still in the mix, but I ran into Kev Moe. I met him on the mountain stage when I was with Charlie, and that was before he made it big. But even Kev, he's always been down there, and I saw him at the T-Bone Walker, and he was glad to see me because he called me Junior Boy.
Right.
And for some reason, he likes my guitar, my style. He used to follow us if he's in the area to come hear the band. And it was I knew he was here in Dallas at the Kessler, and he said, "Well, how come you didn't come?" And I said, "Well, I was getting ready. I was doing the gig myself, and we were getting ready to come to the T-Bone Walker also, and I knew I'd see you here." And so I told him, I said, "You should have called me."
Right.
And I thought maybe he had lost the number out of all those years. And he went through his phone, and sure enough, my number popped up.
Wow.
So he's a true down to earth. We don't talk every day or anything like that, but he's a real person.
Right.
So other than Kev Mo is an incredible artist in his own right.
Yeah, he is.
Who else would you say is some of your favorite younger artists that are coming up through the genres? Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think about Joe Bonamassa, who's out there trying to?
I think he's an incredible guitar player.
Yeah,
he's an incredible guitar player. Joe Bonamassa, and he makes it look easy, but it's some other guys that this Jerry Clark Jr. I've never met him, but he's authentic with what he's doing. And I'm sure I'm missing some of the other younger guys.
Robin Ford is great. He's out there keeping the fire burning too. He's great. Robin Ford.
Who was that?
Robin Ford. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh.
He's awesome.
Oh yeah, Robin. Well, I can go another avenue with that because his brother produced Pat Ford produced our first CD with Musselwhite.
How cool!
Wow. And we were in Australia with Robin at the Basement Club in Australia in Sydney, and Felton Cruz came in as the bass player, and he and Robin played with Miles on the Man with the Horn album. So. Wow. It was kind of like a connection there. We all kind of hung out, and Felton knew Robin real well. So, but Robin is, I admire him. I like him because of his influence. To me, it's more of a jazz influence than rock or anything else.
Right.
And I'm open to all of that because I used to kind of tell like Bruce Iglar at Alligator, that you don't have to be, you don't have to play down your instrument just because it's the blues.
Right.
And did you get a chance to hear Kingfish when you were out there at the T-Bone Walker Blues Fest?
Who was that?
Kingfish.
Oh man, yeah, he came up. He told me he was a fan of mine, but I couldn't believe it. This young guy was killing me.
He's incredible.
He's a great player.
Oh yeah,
man, that guy's a tough player, man. I took pictures with him. He's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, I'll tell you, he's from that area.
No, I believe he's from the Crossroads in Mississippi, but I'll tell you what, the Blues are in good hands with that young man. That's for sure.
Oh, he very good hands. That guy is amazing.
So I know that you've been working on the solo career, I guess, almost 20 years now, which has kind of been almost like your third career, I would imagine. Which is incredible to me. And so how many albums do you have out now as Andrew Junior Boy Jones?
Well, let's see. I think I got 7 albums and 1 vinyl.
Wow.
Under my name. But I'm working right now. I'm working on a compilation of my songs that you might call obscure.
Okay.
But I listened to him and I said, wow, man, this writing is not bad. And so it kind of encouraged me to do it with my with this band that I got now, and they really good players. And you probably saw them on the
yes, sir,
on the video.
Mm-hmm.
And bass player is my son.
Right. I was just going to get to that and have you kind of tell us about the band that you're touring with now and how family oriented it is.
Yeah, we of course the female singer is my wife. That's Carrie, and she has her CD. We're getting ready to complete hers, the vocals, and me put some more guitar down. But my band I got now, they are really, really good players. The drummer is Emil Byram. He's the 2005, 2006 national drum-off champion for Guitar Center. Out of 4,000 drummers, he won.
Wow.
And he's an amazing drummer, young, and he and my son the same age. And on keys we got Julie Bonk. She was the 2014 Salmons Award Jazz Player of the Year here in Dallas, but she's also she taught Nora Jones to play piano, and she's also taught the Grammy-winning band Pentatonics.
Wow!
So
you got a highly accomplished group there with you now.
Yeah. And of course my son, he's been recording. He's on my first CD, I Need Time, for JSP and Rounder.
Okay.
But he was about 15 and recorded on Smokey Wilson's Man from Mars album.
Oh wow.
And we had to turn that whole thing around because he was young at the time, and his style was a little more modern than Smokey was hearing. But Ron Levy was producing, and Ron heard it, and he said, "Wait a minute, let's deal this thing around what this kid is doing," because Ron liked what he was doing,
right?
And so it ended up him kind of whatever he was playing kind of guided us in that direction on that Man from Mars. And Smokey really liked him. Smokey used to be hard on him, but he really loved Chris. He was acting like he was Chris's sergeant or something.
Right.
He said, "You hear me, boy? You hear me?"
I think it's pretty cool too that with your upbringing and your mom kind of, guiding you through the first steps in that music career, that you have that background now that you can could teach your son at the time. Kind of the same things your mom helped you with when you were coming up.
Oh yeah. My mom, she was a great influence on me. The music in the house. I mean, I got it firsthand, and she would sing along with the records and stuff. So it was just normal to me.
Okay, so
to be that close.
I've gotten to the point now in the broadcast where I've got a couple of fan questions for you. And they're from the same guy, and I know you know this guy very well. His name is Donnie Pendleton. You know Donnie, right?
Yeah, great guitar player.
Yes, sir, he is. I agree. So Donnie wanted to hear more about the Les Paul that you received for winning the W.C. Handy Award in Memphis. He wanted you to tell us a little bit more about that custom-made Les Paul.
Well, we kind of had a feeling that we were going to win the award, but Gibson was sponsoring the show. And I had the 73 playing it, Les Paul, that I had with Freddy King. And so they asked me, had I seen the new stuff that they had coming out. And it was the CEO of Gibson. And I looked at the guitar, and he had the Blues Hawk and all that stuff. And then I saw this Les Paul, and he he said, how do you like this? And I couldn't believe it. Hollow body Les Paul. And so he told me, won't you play it on the show? So I did. It was a little difficult because they hadn't set it up yet, but, you know, there's a little intonation, but shoot, I enjoyed it. And so after the show, he told me, how you like it? I said, I love it. He said, how would you like to have it? I said, I need it. So they told me, well, leave it with me today, and we'll get it set up for you, and you come pick it up tomorrow. So that was the whole deal. But I had help from some of the media people. I think Andrew Robles out of New York. He was a writer and I guess a fan, but I consider him a friend at the time. And they were in the Henry's ear. I call him Henry because I can't pronounce his last name. The CEO of Gibson, Java Whiskey or something, for whiskey or something like that. So
I'm sure he knows how to pronounce it.
Beg your pardon?
I said I'm sure he knows how to pronounce it, and that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, I couldn't pronounce it, but anyway, they gave it to me, and I was really grateful. And it's a great instrument. It's easy for me to play in the latter years because it's light. It's lighter than the regular Les Paul.
Yeah, it's a beautiful instrument.
Yeah, it has a different tone. It has the texture of a 335, but it has that Les Paul tone.
Right. All right, so Donnie wanted me to ask you one more question. This is probably not as serious of a question, but he said he wanted me to say, why did you feel the need to school him in B-flat solos in front of people?
What? Man, wait a minute. I might have to call this guy. I don't remember doing that.
That's the way he remembers it.
Yeah, he said he's not real good at B flat, and you guys were trading solos or whatever. And the way he put it, he said, "quote He baked my ham," unquote.
No, Donnie's a great player, man, and I love all those guys from Fort Worth. Whenever I'm playing over there, they come out and they're always welcome to the stage because they all great players. Danny Sanchez, all those guys. I'm just honored to even know them.
Right. So I've got pretty much like 2 or 3 questions left. In reading some other interviews that I've read that you had given over the years, you've been pretty vocal over the struggle and kind of the struggle in not being what you would term more well-known as a solo artist. So tell us some of the frustration that's involved in not being able to get kind of where you feel you should be, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm still not counting that out. I think, not to be over religious, but I just believe you are where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And that's one reason I'm re-releasing some of my music because I think I'm a pretty good writer.
For sure.
And I've got some pretty good stories. So maybe if people really listen, they could enjoy my songs more. But I mean, it's been hard. I mean, I've had some great opportunities, great times, and I've probably seen more than the average person will ever see as far as traveling around the world. But I don't have any regrets. I'm still at it, and try to practice every day. At least pick it up every day. I'm feeling the pains of growing older, but I still have my skills, and as long as I got that, I'm okay.
That's awesome. So maybe you could I do this with pretty much every guest that we have on the show. I'd like to have the guest, in this case you, sir, try to give some advice out there to maybe some younger musicians coming up, maybe some insightful advice to help them with their experiences as a young musician.
Just be true to yourself, man. Play, and that was another great compliment I got from an artist out of Canada in Calgary, Don Ray Johnson. He told me, he said, "Man, the reason I love to come and listen to you is because you play the truth."
Right.
And man, that was heartwarming to hear that. So just be true to yourself. And I never set out to learn to play before people, but I guess if you're true to yourself and everything else will take care of itself. But, try to stay away from, it's not an easy business because you got people that will lie to you and not to throw anybody under the bus, but try to learn as much as you can about the business, your copyrights, registering your song with BMI, ASCAP. Make sure you register your song so you can get paid.
Right.
And try to learn as much as you can about the business.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that advice. And so where can people out there hear your music? Where can people find you on social media? And give us some booking information as well. Well,
ABJ Entertainment is who's booking me, which is incorporated with me personally, as well as my wife. And
is there an email address associated with that?
Yes, I think it's. You mind if I step in here and get a little information?
Yeah, go ahead.
ABJ Entertainment at yahoo.com.
Great, thank you. And so,
and I'm Andrew Junior Boy Jones on Facebook.
Okay, and that's I think it's Andrew, and then Junior Boy is JRBOY, and then Jones.
Right.
I think is your Facebook.
Yeah, that's my my grandmother named me that.
That's
when I was
great.
Born.
And do you have a YouTube or a Twitter or anything else, or is it
a website?
Mostly, or a website?
No, it would be that primarily, and I forget, but here recently I've been away from the technical aspects of it.
Right.
But I think Andrew Jr. But I got a fan page as well as the regular.
It's a fan page and a personal profile as well.
Great.
And they're both Andrew J.R. Boy Jones, I believe.
Correct.
And once again, if you want to book the Andrew Junior Boy Jones band, it's ABJ Entertainment at, did you say yahoo.com?
Yep.
Yahoo.com.
Okay, so make sure if you're out there and you own a venue and you want to have one of the best blues bands in America, in my opinion, at your venue, that's the email you need to go to. If you want to see them perform first, go to Andrew J.R. Boy Jones on Facebook. They have all kinds of linkage there to different performances of theirs, videos and soundtracks and things like that. And I'm sure you can also find him on YouTube as well. I saw a couple of videos on there myself. But we once again, Junior Boy, we want to thank you very much for calling in today and talking with us for the ETX Rocks podcast. We definitely appreciate you, sir.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And this once again, this will air on August 28th, which is a Sunday. And we'll post the linkage for that on ETX Rocks, which is on Facebook. And we hope you have.
Can I mention one other thing?
Absolutely.
God works in mysterious ways, but was asked to produce a year or so ago a Mexican artist out of Mexico City, and he did his first blues album.
Okay.
And it just got in New York City. It just got nominated for Best Mexican Blues Album of the Year.
Wow.
Great.
So,
well, congratulations on that.
Wow, man, it's just unreal. And I don't speak Spanish, but
well, what's the artist's name?
It's El Aragon. E-L, capital E-L, and then capital H-A-R-A-G-A-N.
Okay.
And I think the album is named Races. It's R-A-I-C-E-S.
Okay.
And I see this guy. I didn't know how big he was, but he's supposed to be the Stevie Ray Vaughan of Mexico. But he's big in the States also. But we're doing a show with him on the 21st of this month, the band, because I used the band to record it.
Right.
And so, but his audiences are like 20,000.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So for sure, anybody listening out there, make sure you check that out as well. Junior Boy, congratulations on that nomination. That sounds like as a producer even, that's incredible.
Oh, man, I'm excited about that.
Well, sir, once again, we want to thank you for coming on the show, and you have a great rest of the day.
All right, you too. Thank you very much, both of you.
All right, man, have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right.
So once again, we want to thank you for tuning in to another brand new episode of ETX Rocks with Boston Chris. We recorded this one with my special guest co-host and good buddy of mine, Mr. Chad Malden with Malden Productions in Studio 333 in beautiful Bullard, Texas.
Chad Malden here, music producer and mixing engineer for Malden Productions. You know, you've just been listening to this ETX Rocks podcast in Bullard, Texas at Studio 333 Recording Studio. It's an amazing facility, a hidden gem out here in East Texas. You know, I want you to go to my website to get more information. I want you to go to maldenprod.com. That's MAULDIN PROD, maldenprod.com. And you can find out about me, folks I've worked with. You can hear samples of my work, but then you can also link over and find out more information about this great recording studio, this great facility. And so I want you to do that. I want you to go to the website, maldenprod.com, get any information that you need, and then also feel free to reach out because we're happy to answer any questions that you have or chat about anything that you want to chat about. Thanks a lot.
We are ETX Rocks!